Hi friends, Rod here. Let me ask you a question. Have you seen the Netflix series Drive to Survive? Do you want to hear me and Zach record a special podcast talking just about it? Well, you can. All you need to do is go to superlicense.com.au and join the Superlicense Club at the $5 a month level. And you'll hear us talk all about it. Things like this.
It's not really about who's going to win the championship.
It's really like a 30 for 30 season, except every single episode is just about Formula One.
To see Esteban Ocon going through the paces and seeing him with his eyes closed doing the entire track, with just a little steering wheel in front of him, like I felt incredibly close, like probably closer than ever before to a Formula One driver.
That is why you get a filmmaker to make these and not a racer, not a race director, you know?
And we've got two great drivers, but Max Verstappen is magic. Oh my God.
All that and many minutes more. All you need to do is go to superlicense.com.au, click on the club link and join the Superlicense Club at the $5 a month level or above, and we will unlock all of the episodes of our special members-only podcast called Drift, including the episode covering Netflix Drive to Survive.
Why don't we have that all the time? Yeah.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Superlicense F1 podcast. My name is Rodney.
And my name is a tall drink of rich energy, Zach Priest.
And my name is a tall drink of that equivalent bike company. How are you doing, Zach?
I'm so good. I mean, who couldn't be good after such a great weekend of racing? I'm just dying to get into it. How are you?
Great. Just a great weekend all round with World Cup, Wimbledon, the F1. What else has been happening? Other things. Lots of other things.
Oh, so many other things. I mean, I had this horrible situation where I was coming back from a holiday on Sunday afternoon.
How horrible.
Real bad. Real bad.
Really got the empathy levels up so far.
Oh, well, it was a really unfortunate situation because I couldn't really watch the Formula One live because we were out and about doing stuff. And then the crescendo of both the cricket and the tennis happened as I was getting on a plane. So, like, for the first time as we're landing, I've ever, like, turned off airplane mode to risk the landing to be like, I need the hot sport news. Give me that hot sport news.
Because normally you're a good boy and you just obey the rules. You don't turn your flight mode on until you're 5Ks from the airport.
No, exactly. I wait until I'm clear of all fueling. I basically wait till I'm home on safe home Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Wait until I'm home on the Wi-Fi to flick on my phone and check my emails. Yeah. Pretty sure everybody does that, like, during the descent because, like, you know, more or less, nothing's going to go wrong from there.
Yeah, you got to take your mind off the descent as well, you know, avoid that crunchy landing.
Yeah, that's true. Especially if you're a fidgeter, you need to have something in your hand to keep you busy. Zach, it's the British Grand Prix. Your second home race? Is this your home race now?
How dare you? How very dare you? My home race.
I'm asking a question.
No, Melbourne is always my home race until Melbourne is unceremoniously cancelled from the calendar in 5 years' time, and then I'll take up the mantle of some other race.
It's leaving home, mate. It's leaving home. Well, we should talk about the British Grand Prix this week. We're going to have a race recap. I believe you have a super quiz for me. We'll have a look at the Fantasy League. But before we can do all that, we need to know what we're talking about. And this week we're talking about Britain. Do you like your racing to be right on the edge of Northamptonshire and Buckinghamshire? Do you think racing should be more accessible via the A43? Well, you're in the right place, my friend. And by the right place, I mean this place. And to be clear, I'm talking about Silverstone. Built on an ancient Indian burial ground and or airbase, you'll be hard-pressed to find a better place for the Silverstone race than at the track that is its namesake. And what can you say about the British fans? Well, for starters, there's lots. Like heaps. Like literally tons. In fact, the sellout crowd poured into the track expecting to see the last race here for a while, only to be thrilled / nonplussed about the 5-year contract extension. With 16 corners, all named after hit singles by Steps, especially 5, 6, 7, and 8. The track is such perfection that they airlift some of it to the USA to make up part of their track in a kind of timeshare exchange. And in return, Hollywood lets James Bond live there. I mean, it's amazing. So who needs Europe? It's boring anyway. We've got all we need here, so we're bound to Britain, baby.
Oh, man. Gold. The double whammy of the Steps joke. Again, David Croft, eat your heart out.
Hey, look, this is just facts about the track. I mean,
True facts.
I just feel like other places, they just tell you what you already know. But yeah, there's a lot of learnings here that I want to share with the world, and you won't hear these learnings anywhere else, for better or worse, I suppose. Yeah, Zach, man, this was one of the better races. Maybe we should just get straight into it.
Let's do it.
Let us race a bit. I gave him space.
Suck my balls, man.
Let's hurry up and get out of here. We got a race to do.
Woo! Such a good race, man. Yeah. It seems to be feast or famine. And literally ever since we've introduced this 30-second recap at the top of the race review, it feels like there's either nothing to talk about or everything to talk about. And it's my turn. So, at least I don't have to recap the World Cup final. I feel like I've got a little bit of an easier job. So I'm going to set a timer, Zach. You know how this goes. You can sit back and relax for a little bit, have a drink, warm your vocal cords, do your exercises, do whatever you need to do. But the next 30 seconds are going to be purely me scrambling to recap this race. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. 30 seconds, help me. Bottas set pole. Was comfortably keeping Hamilton behind, but then a safety car for Giovinazzi later in the race helped Hamilton win the race. Maybe he would have won anyway, maybe he didn't, who knows. The big talking point is Vettel Verstappen. Vettel clearly at fault, smashing into the back of Verstappen in a weird way. Yet another mistake, you could say, from poor old Vettel. Driver of the day, Leclerc, the other Ferrari driver, finishing off the podium, giving me a few extra points in my fantasy league. Thank you very much. Good boy, good boy. Oh, no way I could fit it all in, Zach. No way.
No, and look, you've got to leave something for us to, chew on, nibble on for the rest of the show. So we can put all the...
I needed 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you've covered the incident between Vettel and Verstappen, so we can put that one to bed. You covered Leclerc on the podium, put that one to bed. Bottas and Hamilton and the pit stop strategy, that one's done. So all that's left to really talk about, I suppose, is... Haas crashing into each other at the start, but even that's just kind of normal, right? So really, I think this one's done. In the bag, let's call it.
Pack her up, boys, we're done. Well, if you wanted to talk about one more thing, I don't know, maybe we round out Haas, given that it happened at the start of the race. Apparently, Grandma Grosjean hasn't been happy with the Haas for a little while, and he was like, when our car was really good, the first race of the year, can we go back to the way it was set up then? So they went back to the Melbourne setup of the car, and you might be wondering, how did he go? Well, not so good, because the Haas drivers drove into each other, and I saw today a headline on one of the F1 sites, Grosjean and Magnussen's driving, quote, not acceptable, says Furious Steiner, and I just love the idea that could be his nickname, Furious Steiner.
It's F. Steiner, Mr. Furious Steiner. I like that.
Furious to you.
Yeah, he sounds like
Call me Furious.
Marvel
Mr. Steiner
character.
is my dad.
Yes, Mr. Steiner. Yeah, I mean, this is junk. They're both bad right now, aren't they? The Haas drivers are just, because the incentive there's an individual incentive now. They both must feel like they're fighting for their careers at some point, because there's lots of young drivers around, and Haas doesn't have a long racing history of whatever. They could just dump both of them and go and get some new fresh people. I don't know. It seems like they're just racing purely as individuals, and they don't even know where each other is on the track. Like, this was such an innocuous incident that they should be at least watching out for each other enough so that they don't wreck each other races so early on. I mean, what was it? Double punctures? I mean, come on, guys. This is... it's... when there was a period where, the Force India drivers were always just finding each other on the track, regardless of the situation. It was like, how did these two end up battling? We're halfway through the race, one of them's pitted, the other one hasn't. How did this happen? It just feels like that with Haas. Every single time you see one Haas, there's actually two. You think it's a Haas shadow, but it's the second Haas car. They're always on top of each other.
It's almost like ever since the Rich Energy sponsorship came along, bad things have been happening. It's almost like they're a bit cursed or something. Maybe them going away will be the best thing that could possibly happen. Where else do we want to go? Maybe we go back to the leaders for a minute.
Yeah.
Oh boy, man, you could talk all day just about this one question. The safety car helping Hamilton perhaps win the race, maybe a little bit.
Oh, conspiracy theory.
I guess
right?
the argument.
That incident.
you could argue both sides is the thing.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously definitely didn't need a safety car. They could have just kept racing everybody around, and Giovinazzi could have pushed his own car off, and that would have let Bottas win. But because it's all a big conspiracy to make sure that Lewis Hamilton wins every race, including his home race, the Giovinazzi's car hadn't even stopped before they'd called the safety car. It was the fastest call I've ever seen in Formula One.
It did seem to catch people by surprise, but Yeah, I guess the question here is that Hamilton scored a free pit stop where Bottas didn't, and they were so very close on the track that that was what handed Hamilton victory. So lots of questions come from that. Like, number one, would Hamilton have won anyway because Bottas was put on medium tyres and then medium tyres again, so he was going to have to pit again anyway. Now, having said that, that would have set him up on potentially soft tyres for the end of the race, which might have been very good. But having said that again, the hard tyres, it seems, everyone seemed to underestimate how well the hard tyres were going to perform. Case in point, Hamilton setting the fastest lap at the end.
On the hard tyres. Yeah, it was a difficult one. I would always back Hamilton in second to win these kinds of races. He was all over Bottas, and Bottas did an incredible job of defending. And I actually thought that both of them, Hamilton was giving him a lot of room. Maybe if Hamilton was behind in the World Championship at this race, he might have fought even harder at the start and maybe not been as nice with the room giving. But, maybe not. I haven't got any evidence to back that up because all year and a lot of last year, they've been very kind to each other. I don't think Hamilton genuinely sees Bottas as a threat. Or a genuine threat. So it was just really fascinating to watch them actually duking it out, to really see Hamilton like all over the back. Like when we say like all over his gearbox, he was swerving around behind him, just trying to find any inch to get through. And every time Bottas was like, well, I'm just going to plant this in the middle of the track or plant on the inside of the apex and just keep defending. Maybe it even shows how poorly that Mercedes does follow, because even with DRS and all those kinds of, all the help, it's obviously still so fast in a straight line if you're in front that I was surprised that Lewis couldn't get up beside him at the end of the straights and find a way through. So they would say that their strategy paid off, right? They were leaving Hamilton out there in case of a safety car, or that was one of the permutations of the race that could have come about, and it did. So all power to them. You play, if you're in second, you've got to kind of hope for those little opportunities, and they took it right away.
Yeah, I think one of the surprises was how evenly matched the two Mercs were, because it wasn't that long ago that, Hamilton was like, he looked like he could have lapped Bottas if he wanted to. And all of a sudden, Bottas is back, pips him for pole by the smallest margin, and, can hold him at bay for the first few laps, which was surprising, really. I guess some of the other questions that come up is how come Bottas was put on this weird strategy where they go medium, rather than even just putting him on medium hard and covering the opportunity to say, well, if he has to go to the end, maybe he can, or he could always pit late for pits, or if there is a safety car, pit him for another set of hards. Like, it doesn't matter. Bit of a strange one, I think, and I think Mercedes, there's a question mark for Mercedes about why Bottas was put on the medium question mark strategy, when it seems like that strategy was as good as any other one-stop strategy. There's been some slightly conflicting comments from Toto Wolff and Hamilton post-race about why Hamilton ended up on the strategy he did. Toto Wolff said, we did talk about the potential of putting the leading driver on a, two-stop like that, but giving the second driver the option, if they wanted to, go contra, and in the event of a safety car, or just if one stop turns out to be better based on what the other cars are doing, they can do that. Hamilton seems to say, oh, look, yeah, we did talk about that, but it was still my call. I was still the one in the car saying, I want to do this. It also seemed like at the end of the race that they really wanted Hamilton to pit for some reason, so just really not sure truly what their strategy was, and who was actually making the calls, because it seems like, especially at the end, Hamilton wanted to do one thing and the team wanted to do something different.
Yeah, the pit crew came out twice at the end, and he didn't pit, and then goes and set the fastest lap. So, at this point, I would back Hamilton in to make these kinds of decisions. He seems to know what he's doing, and now all the chat is about how much will he win this World Championship by, because Mercedes have just raced off with it, and it's almost done at this point. We're looking at Hamilton's on 228 World Championship points or something. Like he's off in the distance.
He really is. He really is. So, Bottas lives to fight another day. Sorry, mate. Just wasn't your day today, but I don't know. Who knows? It could have been. Maybe we move on to the Vettel-Verstappen clash. I said in my 30-second summary that I thought it was clearly Vettel's fault. Did you see it that way?
I did. Quite rightly, people have drawn comparisons to when Ricciardo drove into Verstappen at Baku, which is It's a similar thing, but I think that in this circumstance, Vettel seems more at fault because he's just so close to him, and there was really nowhere for him to go, and I don't really know what he was expecting Verstappen to do. Like, he's so close to him, swoops back across behind him, just as Verstappen's like, coming up to the corner, I'm just going to brake for this corner like you should be doing. And Vettel just got it all wrong. So it's just add it to the pile of crappy mistakes from Vettel, because now his career at Ferrari is just littered with them. And I think Leclerc drove clean off the track this week.
Yeah, the worst thing about this one is that Vettel really, he was given a big advantage when the safety car happened, and he was pitted and put into a good position to challenge for the podium and hang on for P3. And he threw it away, but he also, just in the battle with Verstappen, it wasn't a very long battle. And once Verstappen got the upper hand, you could see the red mist was just taking over, fogging up his brain, and he just was driving like an idiot. And like you say, he was challenging in a way reminiscent of the Ricciardo Verstappen incident last year, except that this one happened not, more or less halfway down the straight, but pretty much at a corner, and it was always Verstappen was always going to brake and pull in, and Vettel just didn't seem to be thinking that he was going to do that at all. So he was definitely racing his own race and not thinking at all what the other guy might do, which you kind of have to do when you're behind someone and reacting to them. The good thing was that he accepted blame pretty much, not straight away on the radio, but certainly by the end of the race, and went over and accepted blame. He got a 10-second penalty, even though he was pretty much running last at the time, and he got 2 penalty points. Doesn't really mean anything. He's only on 6, but I mean, that's halfway towards the number of points that he has, so I don't think it'll worry him. But boy, this one is really amateurish.
Yeah, because we'd had such great racing all day that everybody was giving each other space. Like amongst the top 6, it was brilliant. And then down to, Ricciardo and Sainz and Lando Norris, everybody was having a real go, but being, relatively good. Like Leclerc and Verstappen's racing for the first 30 laps of the race, like they were nudging each other all over the shop, getting passed off the track, but nothing was it didn't seem venomous. It felt very like it was like gritty, but not like vindictive. And every time Vettel does something, it seems like he's trying to get one over on the other person. It's like, how dare you even deign to pass me? Don't you know who I am? And it's like, no one cares. No, I just can't see. Like, does anybody even like Sebastian Vettel anymore? Like, that's the scary thing, is that he might look around this season and go, right, well, everybody loves Charles Leclerc. No one seems to like me. I'm not really doing that well. Maybe my own team will start looking at Charles and going, maybe we should make them at least even, not like 1 and 2, but like maybe just both ones, or maybe Charles is the future. We should just like start to preference him. And then it would be okay if the formula was resetting next year, but it's not. We've got 1 more year of this formula before 2021 and we get a whole new racing standard. It's actually quite a long distance between now and when Vettel might see an opportunity for Ferrari to maybe dominate again. So it's very, very, personally, unless Vettel has a very good second half of the year and he starts to turn things around, he might just look around and go like, what am I even doing here? It's not, maybe not the sport for me anymore.
No, and you mentioned how well Leclerc did. Really want to call him out because he just drove so well, really got his elbows out against Verstappen. Really seems to have learnt the lessons from Austria last time, where he was pushed off the track, and I mean, he wasn't very happy about it. He just wanted the stewards to say, can we do that or not? And when they said you could, I feel like he just was like, okay, I'll take it on the chin this week, but guess what's going to happen next week? I'm going to be pushing everybody off the track. I'm going to have one of those like cow splitter things installed on the front of my car, and if you're anywhere near me, you're going off track, mate. And good on him. And I think, honestly, I think Verstappen would respect driving like that. I really do.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I think that both of those drivers understand the rules pretty clearly now. And Verstappen did say at one point that Leclerc was moving a bit under braking, but he wasn't like, hey, where's the penalty? Tell the stewards. He was like, that one looked close. Yeah. Like, that one was,
but it was on the edge way where just drivers do it automatically these days, because if they do get a penalty, hey, happy days.
Yeah, exactly. So I loved it. I thought it was absolutely exhilarating. I this was the one I got messages from people being like, "Are you watching this race? Is this what this is like?" Like, I hope no one gets used to this, because that's what it should be like all the time. In fact, I was having a drink with Michael Laminato of the Strategy Report and Box of Neutrals fame, and he said to me when he sat down, he's like, "That might be the best race I've seen in 10 years." I was like, "Whoa, that's a massive call," but it was like the racing was outstanding.
I don't want to let the fact that I'm really sleep deprived let anyone think that I wasn't hyped and pumped about that race. It was so good. I wish that there was a bit more of a scrap at the front. That's usually, like, for me, the best races have to have a scrap at the front. Otherwise, who cares? But, I mean, for entertainment value, sure. I mean, there were just battles all the way down the grid for most of the race. So really happy with that. Really, really liking the Ricciardo and Norris scrap, which, watching the highlights again, it turned out they were scrapping right from lap 1, and they were pretty much scrapping right to the end. This one was one where I was really sure that Ricciardo would eventually just outmaneuver Norris, the rookie Ricciardo, the sort of master overtaker, the guy who knows how to get his car in the right spot and to put his car in a spot where you have to react, and then he can take advantage and leverage your position to benefit himself. But I just couldn't get it done. And I think just having the exact same horsepower, more or less, driving both of those cars at a track and in conditions where any differential between the aero of the cars probably was minimal. Yeah, I was surprised that he couldn't get it done, but I guess looking back, you know, the McLarens have been going very well. Ricciardo's been getting the most that he can out of the Renault, and on paper, they were probably just a pretty even match this week.
Yeah, you meant Sainz, right? Not Norris?
Sorry, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry.
No, perfect. Just wanted to double check that I was like, wait, did I get that? No, that was right. They're too similar, those two guys anyway. they're both fun and happy right now, so they seem to drive relatively similarly. But yeah, it was absolutely outstanding racing the whole way through, and I was expecting Ricciardo to find a way forward as well. I think that everybody at Renault and McLaren would walk away from race weekends like this and go like, hey, kind of job done, right? Almost all of us got points. The cars didn't break down. We look okay. Like, that was a pretty complete race weekend. Even Nico Hülkenberg managed to get some points. So everyone's looking pretty chipper, except for our mates down at Haas, who had, double DNF? We spoke about them right at the beginning, but it was kind of almost sage that Rich Energy had said, like, it's unacceptable that they finished behind Williams the last race, and here they are again, like, not being able to finish a race. It's dire. Is there any other? Do you have any predictions about Haas? Any crazy predictions? Do you think they'll just come good? By the time they get to Monza or something like that? In basically what is a Ferrari car. I think this is a write-off.
They're so lost at sea. They don't even have any idea they don't know where they're going wrong to fix it. That's the problem. They just have no idea. So there's no hope for Haas this year. They're cooked. Alexander Albon in the Toro Rosso, and it turned out that he was, he was on track for a two-stop strategy, but then at the end kind of couldn't because his car put itself in this weird high voltage mode. I don't know why they have a mode for that. It was a glitch. It's not intended to do that. It was a mistake. It was a horrible thing. They had to tell him, safe exit or whatever, like safe, basically like jump from the car, do not be touching the car and the ground at the same time. Please be safe. And he couldn't bring it into the pits during the race because it was way too dangerous. So, what should have been, potentially a points finish for him ended up being a finish out of the points and, a finish where he might have finished with a little bit less hair on his face than he started with if things didn't go so well.
It feels like one of those moments from a movie where, like, that thing goes wrong, but it's like, oh my god, the car's so much faster. Like, let's make it work. And then he just zooms off to the finish line. But, no luck, just dangerous.
And there's somehow a ghost in the engine or something.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. Well, my friend, I mean, for what was a really good race, I mean, I think we picked out the main talking points, and I mean, I don't know, it was just a good race. Yeah, it was a good race. I'm so tired.
Everything was kind of cut and dry. No, but everything was kind of cut and dry. Like, there wasn't too much controversy. It was just a great race, and that's what I like about this, is it doesn't need hours and hours and hours of analysis. I think people are still grasping at straws to kind of talk about the Hamilton-Bottas thing too much. There's every chance they were both going to go to mediums because it was a two-stop race. The safety car at lap 20 has that effect on any race when there's an early first half safety car. It changes everybody's strategy. So Hamilton was lucky. That's all. And it will come back around to Bottas one time and he'll be lucky the next time.
No, let's embrace the fact that we had a good race and it wasn't the result of stewards' interventions. And, plenty more racing like that at Silverstone. And if every race can be even as half as good as that, we'll have it for another 50 years. Thanks very much. Zach, let's move on to Fantasy Focusy thingy, the little segment where we look at our Fantasy Focus League. Did notice this week, don't know how you did it, mate, but you've pulled 6 places ahead. I've only improved by 2 places. Turns out it's a pretty bad week to have Vettel in your team. He doesn't score too many points when he finishes basically last. But for this round, if you wanted to be amongst the top 3, you had better be James Ward running the Hawkmoon Racing team. You had better be Eyes Up Auto run by Zach Carroll, and you had better been Blown Gaskets run by Ian. Those were the top 3 for this round. But I think a good round all round. I know I got a couple of points for having like Hamilton, finishing, winning, and Leclerc on the podium, and I don't know, I think that was about all I got for my fantasy bonus picks. But yeah, my team and my bonus picks could have been better.
Yeah, no, I think it was a one of those times when it's like everybody thought Hamilton would win, so put him as the winner, put him as fastest lap, a relatively easy podium to predict. So everybody take the points, woo! And nice to see another Zach in the top. Zach's represent.
Your boy.
My boy.
For the league, it turns out that the performance at Britain has rocketed Hawkmoon Racing to number 1 for the whole league, with Scuderia Benetti by Over and Out and Lincoln the Naughty Dog hanging in there in 3rd for the league. I had to look through the rest of the team names in the league, looking for people at the bottom who might have joined recently, because, if you joined recently, your team's probably going to be down the bottom. I'm sorry to say it, but I want to give a shout out to the team that's currently last. The name is I Like You, managed by I Like You. So thanks. I like you too. You're rad.
Oh, I like you. That's a very calm, r/wholesome memes style of name. Very good.
Very much. We could probably post it there.
Yeah.
Well, that is a look at the Fantasy League for this week, Zach. I'm hoping you got a super quiz ready. I'm going to play the theme and we'll find out right after this.
We will accept a couple of questions. Should one only win one? Would one want to have won that one in round 1?
Can you repeat the question?
How are we looking, mate?
Oh, man. You know what? I looked at this week and I was like, geez, what are we going to do about a quiz? And then I thought about it a little harder, spoke to some colleagues, and I've come up with something because William's story of rich energy drinks has been the story of the past week. He's been tweeting all over the place. I've got no idea. There was a point where I was climbing up a mountain in Bulgaria to look at the Rila 7 lakes. I've been hiking for 2 hours and I got incredible phone reception. I just refreshed a bit of the old news chat and it was like, wow, this has changed drastically from the last 24 hours of we're dumping them. We're still friends. We are not friends. So I thought, it's time for That's a Bit Rich energy quiz. How do you feel about that?
Sounds really good. I think it's going to be entertaining, whether I get the questions right or wrong.
Oh, yeah. I mean, vaguely Formula One related, purely because they're a sponsor. There aren't that many Formula One related questions in here, but it's a bit of fun. So ready for the first question. Are you, Rod?
Mm-hmm. Bring it.
Okay. In their own terms, what kind of energy drink is rich? Is it A, elite, B, exclusive, or C, exquisite?
Given how few people have had one, I'll say exclusive.
It is not exclusive. It is elite because they spent 6 years defining how and what and developing what an energy drink should be and then probably just copied the Red Bull formula. But
yeah.
You were close. It could have been any one of those 3, but it is, in fact, elite.
But it wasn't only one of them.
Yeah, it could have been any, but there was one. So, question the number 2. How many employees does the official Rich Energy company page on LinkedIn have? You're familiar with LinkedIn, of course, I'm sure. The official company page, I'm going to give you 3 options. Is it A, 2, B, 20, or C, 200 employees?
I just find it so hard to think that it would be 200. But 2, I believe that the owner of the company took over the Twitter account. That suggests that at least one other person was running the Twitter account, so that would put them at 2. They've got to have somebody making the drinks, so I'm going to go 20.
It is all your logic was sound except for that last bit. It is 2.
Oh, no.
The official Rich Energy company page on LinkedIn has 2 employees, one of which is, I think, William's story, and the other is just like unknown LinkedIn member. But this is where the plot thickens, Rod, because LinkedIn it's a sophisticated platform, and it knows that other people have put themselves as Haas employee, as Rich Energy employees, but not the correct, not the official Rich Energy company page. So there is an automatically generated LinkedIn company page, which is unofficial, that actually has 4 employees. So that's double as many as the official one. And 3 of them have really normal jobs, like drinks manufacturer and, managing person of factory or all those kinds of things. But the 4th person has an interesting title. So here we go. These are the 3 that I'm going to let you choose from, multiple choice. What is the 4th person at the unofficial Haas, the unofficial Rich Energy company page doing? Are they A, the director of adrenaline? Are they B, DJ/music producer? Or are they C, head of finance and fitness?
Oh, finance and fitness is unusual. I'm just not sure it's unusual enough for you to make a question about it. I'm going to go A.
It is B, DJ/music producer. Because why would Rich Energy even need one? Which is, it's a real weird thing, Rod. They're just a real fucking weird company.
I'm coming to learn that.
All right. Next question. How did the other key investor, other than William Story, make his billions? Was it A, big game hunting? Was it B, vapes? Or was it C, softcore pornography?
Ooh, I'm not sure there's a lot of money in big game hunting. I guess there could be if you're a sponsorship
How big's the
and you're an
game?
extreme hunter. That's exactly right. What game are we talking about?
Yeah, we're talking Kraken? Then maybe.
Vapes. I mean, you would think that someone who's made it big in vapes might decide, I know what the next step up is. It's definitely going to be energy drinks. Having said that, softcore porn. I just like to think that I don't even know if we've had porn come up in a super license quiz as an option before, and I just would feel disappointed in myself if I didn't go with that one. So I'm going to say softcore porn.
It is softcore porn. Your logic is impeccable on that. It was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Well done. Rod, the last question of the That's a Bit Rich Energy quiz is, what does the Rich Energy logo represent, according to the founder and CEO, William Story? Is it A, fucking lit energy moving through your fucking veins, man? Is it B, the noble stag that roams Richmond Park? Or is it C, nothing, it's just a wicked cool shape like my lustrous long beard, bro?
It could be definitely that middle one or the last one. Where was this sourced from is the question, because I believe the last one is an official quote from the guy. I'll go with B. I'll play conservative on this one. I'll go with B.
It is B, the noble stag that roams Richmond Park. That sounds like post-rationalized because they definitely stole it from white bikes, and then they had to randomly come up with something quickly, and we're like, I think our office is somewhere near Richmond Park in London, so there's stags in there.
Stags can inspire many things. They're noble beasts.
Are
they even beasts? So noble. I don't know how beasts work.
Beasts. Yeah, let's go with beasts. They're in the animal beast kingdom. That sounds right. Rod, that was the That's a Bit Rich Energy Drink quiz. I hope you enjoyed it.
Legitimately sad to see the end of that quiz. If everyone wants to get some more way out there sponsors so that we can do fun quizzes about them, that would really work out really well for us. Thank you so much. Well, now that we know everything we need to know about Rich Energy, they'll probably go away and it won't be a problem anymore. But to finish off the show, Zach, we need to talk about our final thoughts. So I wonder what has caught your eye in the last fortnight or so around the race, or from anything really, that we can leave the listeners with as a final rumination.
I was really thinking about Formula One as a proposition this weekend, and it's suffering from a brand image problem right now, which is that the documentary Drive to Survive, which we talk about every week because everybody talks to me about Drive to Survive, made it sound like there was all of this drama and so many personalities and all these kinds of bits and pieces. But it's funny because they've had so many big names and personalities that people know people like Bernie Ecclestone, and they, for some reason, know like CVC partners. And I don't think that Liberty F1 has really taken hold of the brand, except literally the logo. So I wonder if they're kind of invested in the idea that they're getting all these new young drivers through, and they're trying to remake the brand almost from the ground up, whilst having to keep all of the history at the same place. And I wonder if maybe we'll see over the next few years, like more new races and some of the older races kind of just falling off the calendar a bit as Liberty Media kind of take control of the sport in a bit more. And maybe we'll look back at this period as quite the transition when we went from maybe like the Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Vettel being the last of that crop of that era of Formula One. And we'll move into the new era of the Verstappen, Leclerc, Liberty F1, 6 American races, and a real leaning towards a more globalized sport. That's my thought.
Yeah, interesting. Could be. I mean, there's changes afoot. We already see little small changes around the edges, and I think Liberty have sort of haven't really made any big plays, but I'm sure that, if the bottom line keeps getting eaten into and revenue keeps dropping, it's only a matter of time, isn't it, before they're like, you know what? The cars are going to have shields on them instead of these dumb halo things, and all drivers have to be no drivers over 25, and everyone has to scull or energy during the pit stop, and that kind of stuff.
They could have 2 leagues, like the mature F1, like the seniors F1 league,
the veterans league, 26.
Yeah, Pablo Montoya will be in there. Felipe Massa will be in there. That'd be great. DC, get Mika Hakkinen back in the car.
Good.
Awesome. I'd watch that.
Well, that's a good one. Yeah, I mean, I think it's still definitely watch this space. I mean, I think in general, I'd say there's been a lot of good things that Liberty have done, but I'm just waiting for the hammer to drop, and they really
hammer time.
I'm waiting for them to balls it up. I hope they don't. Please don't do that. I wasn't actually sure, to be honest, this week whether it was my turn to do a quiz or yours. So I, as a backup, I bookmarked this article that I found about celebrities that went to that were at the British Grand Prix, because it did seem to be a lot. But it seemed to be a lot. I noticed Michael Key was there, and then Mumford and Son were there. Stormzy waved the flag, whoever Stormzy is.
Oh, bad flag waving, by the way.
Yes.
He just went up and down, up and down. You got to figure 8. Guys, if any of you listening,
got to figure 8.
Guys,
Everyone
gals,
knows this.
Figure 8. Spray, drink, drop, and figure 8. They are the rules.
It's like he's never waved a flag before. Mel C. Is it Mel C? Mel B. The scary one was there, with Hornywell. And Mumford and Son were in the pit lane. Did I say that? Yep. Very musical. Michael Douglas was there. I don't know that he qualifies as a celebrity anymore, but he was there. So that was going to be my quiz. Just fun factoid. That was going to be my quiz.
You didn't want to save it for next year?
Well, who was at the British Grand Prix last year?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that would have been a test for sure. The other thing I was going to mention as my thought was the Formula E title for this year has been decided, and the big winner is Jev, who's gone back-to-back, winning 2 titles now, back-to-back in Formula E. Really showing his form, and probably time to get him into the Toro Rosso team, I reckon. Let's get rid of Gasly, who clearly only can take 4th when 2 other drivers ahead of him trip over.
Albon,
if his form doesn't improve, we've got a clear escalation path before the end of the season. Get Jev back into Toro Rosso. Next year, get him into Red Bull. Year after that, Mercedes.
Year after that, the world, president, anything. God, he's welcome any time on this show, by the way. If anybody close to Jev wants to tell him that we love Jev, we'd have him on. He can do a quiz. He could be part of a quiz. He could be on a drift episode. I don't care. Just get him on.
If it seals the deal, tell him that we both got Jev tattoos, because if he agrees to come on the show, we will get them to make that story come true.
We'll get them matching as well, so that you will have to, like, when we hold our wrists up together, it'll like somehow make a new pattern that says Jev backwards or something. It'll be that good.
Yeah, like a mirror. Yeah,
I
like that. Definitely like the idea of people spreading rumors about us to drivers. That's a really good area for us to get into, I reckon.
Did you hear the Super License podcast really likes you?
They said to say that if we saw you, to tell you that we like you. Our DMs are open. Anyway, Zach, I think that's the show done. How about that, mate?
Jesus. I mean, is there another race coming up really soon? Germany, right? The German one?
Germany's the next one. 12
couple
months.
Of weeks.
12 months to the race since Vettel's spiral, his downfall.
Oh, yeah, the spin in the wet. Was that it? Yes.
This was the one where he just drove into the wall.
Oh, no, this is the drive into the wall one. Just drive into the wall.
That was like so many. Which one is it again? Which screw-up was it again? The one where he was leading in his home race and he drove into the wall. Man, Hamilton wouldn't do a thing like that.
Was he just really lucky that Red Bull just happened to have the best car during a period where nobody was really paying attention to Formula One, and you didn't know how to make a good car, and Adrian Newey was like, hey, I know exactly how to design a great car while everybody else is working out hybrid. I'm going to double diffuser and do all of these cool other things with aerodynamics, and it'll just be great. And really, was he just a little bit better than Webber? And I could have won those 4. I don't know. I wonder how
That's a long question. I'm going to say yeah.
Okay, sweet.
I mean, I think the issue is that for someone who his champion years are a little bit behind him now, he just doesn't look anything like the former self that he was. Like sometimes, you look at Fernando Alonso, wins a few championships, but he's still good, even like 6-7 years later. But Vettel just doesn't seem any good right now. Yeah,
that's why Lewis Hamilton's amazing. 2008, and now he's winning all these championships. Now, he's done these hard yards. I mean, it's a pleasure to watch Lewis Hamilton race around now. There, I said it. An absolute pleasure.
He's doing okay. Well, let's kick it home. Let's pack her up, boys, and we'll see how things go in Germany. I'll tell you what, whether Vettel wins or whether Mercedes wins, someone is going to be having a home victory, my friend, and we'll be here to do all the talking. Don't forget to get your tips in for fantasy before the race. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, at Superlicense, and don't forget to join the Facebook group, Superlicense Universe on Facebook, because we're running at the moment a poll on there to find the group's favorite track. So we're doing an elimination style with brackets. We've done 2 brackets already, and we're up to the 3rd bracket now, which will include Silverstone. I just didn't want to put it out before the race because I thought that might skew the results a little bit. But the next bracket's going to go up, and then we're going to have 7 brackets of 3 to get through all 21 of the races. Then we'll play those 7 off against each other, work out which one is the group's favorite track. So that's ongoing, and we're working our way through that in the group. So join, it's lots of fun, and we'll be back for the next race, Zach.
Lovely. I'm looking forward to it, and I'll speak to you then.
Until then, my name's Ben Rodney.
And my name's Zach.
Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.